Today on Behind the Bloom, we're talking tulips and episode 106, Tulips Year-Round Spring. I'll share about my friend and tulip expert Lane DeVries. We'll learn about tulips from both the Northern and Southern Hemisphere. Of course, I have tulip arranging tips, and I'll explain why tulips are the easiest flowers to arrange. Tulips aren't just for spring. Now we can have tulips all year round. Get ready to tiptoe through the tulips with me and RJ too. Tulips are one of my favorite flowers. I love them because they're so easy to arrange. They make everyone happy, and they truly provide a little bit of spring all year through. Visit your favorite flower seller and see what tulips they have on the menu today. And try them yourself. You'll be hooked. Cal Flowers is a proud sponsor of Behind the Bloom podcast and Life in Bloom, where flowers and wellness go hand in hand.
Hey, Jay.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about tulips.
Tulips year-round spring.
Year-round. I would have always associated them with spring, but I'm excited to hear that year-round.
It's true. They're available year-round. One of the gentlemen so this is a companion episode to episode 106 in our first season called Tulips Year-Round Spring, and it's all about tulips. One of the gentlemen that is a guest in this show, his name is Lane DeVries, and he's one of the people that pioneered growing tulips year-round. Obviously, they do it in Holland, in the Netherlands, all the time, but he really pioneered it for the United States to make sure that we had them available as well.
Okay. And how do you know Lane?
So Lane was the largest flower farmer in the United States.
Wow.
His company, Sun Valley Flowers, was in Arcata, California, and also in Oxnard, California. And he was the largest, basically, land farmer. That's how you would measure it, is by acres and also by number of stems. And so he grew in Arcata because it's the perfect geographic space to grow tulips. It replicates the same climate that they have in the Netherlands. And it's always between like 56 and 62 degrees. It's cloudy, it's cold all year long. It gets this marine layer. It's a perfect place to raise them. And then Oxnard, he grew other crops down there too. Unfortunately, Lane is no longer in business.
Oh.
He closed his business a couple years ago, but now he runs Cal Flowers, who is a wonderful supporter of Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom and Behind the Bloom podcast. And so he's the association director for Cal Flowers. And Cal Flowers is a transportation association that allows people who ship flowers to get better pricing for their shipping because they ship so much of it. FedEx, UPS, all sorts of types of ways to ship flowers in cold conditions across the United States.
Oh, okay.
I've known Lane, for a really long time. He immigrated to the United States. He also is a part-time minister on the weekends for his local church. He is an amazing human being. Lane is one of those people that always says yes to everything. He wanted to figure out how to grow tulips year-round. What that meant was that you had to deal with different rootstock and also had to replicate the condition. When I lived in Atlanta, you can't have tulips in Atlanta because it isn't cold enough long enough. They get buried in the ground, and when they're buried in the ground, they have to simulate a winter situation, which usually takes about 34 to 36 days. Once it starts to warm up, they will start to grow. And inside that tulip bulb, which is a really interesting thing, everything exists inside there. All the food, all the moisture, all the bud is inside there, the bloom is inside there, the stem is inside there, the leaves are inside there. And if you cut one in half, you can see it.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing,
wow.
Right? And so what Lane discovered was to have tulips year-round, half of the year he grew tulips from the Northern Hemisphere, and half the year he grew tulips from the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, interesting.
Because in the Southern Hemisphere, they bloom in spring, which is a different time. They actually bloom in like October, November. Okay, because that's spring in the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, we never think about this because we've only lived here, right? In some parts of the world, Christmas is summer.
Right.
I mean, it's when summer falls, and so it's reversing those and bringing them in. So he would ship those in from different parts of the world where they were grown, and then they can grow all the time. And I think it was really interesting in his episode too, because they grow them in soil, but then they remove them from the soil on the bulb and put them in the cooler. And then they can hold them there for up to 6 weeks.
Wow.
And not change the way that bloom is going to be affected, or the way that bloom is going to be grown. It doesn't change the freshness or anything. They also move them in there when there's no color. It's just that little green bud, and then they move them in there. And that tulip will continue to advance and grow because of the nutrients and everything that's in that bulb. So a tulip is really kind of self-contained flowerdom inside that bulb.
How cool.
That's one of the coolest things. And I think, the other thing is, like, when you plant a tulip bulb, you have to plant it point up. If you plant it point down, it will still come up, but that flower has to go down and then it has to come up again around it. So it will take it longer, and it'll use a lot of its strength doing that. Because there's so many nutrients inside that bulb too, it's really important to use like bulb food, flower food that our friends at Kreisel make that. So at kreiselflowerfood.com, at their website, you can get bulb food. Tulips need a large sugar load. And that doesn't mean that you can add sugar to the water, but that's just the terminology that it needs more energy to allow that tulip to grow, for the leaves to get bigger, for the stem to get longer, and for that blossom to advance and open up. So they need that stuff. And so you can get a product called bulb food, and that bulb food will make those tulips be better, bigger, stronger, bigger blooms, brighter colors, yellow leaves, all that stuff. So I think it's important to think about that because we also arrange tulips in this episode as well.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. Like, you actually saw like these cool areas in the episode that you and Lane went to. It was like you could see all these tulips like in this kind of like holding area where they're being kept cool. It was really fascinating to see.
It's so interesting. I believe there were over 70 different coolers that had different thermostatic controls that those tulips would move through. So it would get them a little colder, a little colder, a little colder, and they would just keep moving the tulips, because then they would progress to the greenhouse where they would set them out, and then they start to grow on. You have to use that low temperature to get them to form the roots that they need to shoot the bloom.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, there's 2 coolers there for iris, and iris are opposite. And the 2 coolers for iris make bulbs warm.
Oh.
It's 86 degrees in those coolers to make those bulbs warm so they will set bloom. It was so fascinating. It's in Humboldt County. What they would do is the Humboldt soil there has a lot of compost in it, and tulips really like that compost because it feeds the energy. Once they had these blooms, the blooms were ready to go into bunches. They would bunch them, and they'd have the bulbs on the end. They'd cut off the bulbs, and they'd compost that bulbs back into the soil and help regenerate the soil. So it's regenerative farming at the same time.
That's so cool.
It's so amazing to see that place in operation. And there are still people in the United States who are growing tulips like that. And then also in Amsterdam, they grow tulips year-round too. So sometimes when we see those, they're coming from local farmers, because any local farmer can, and if they have the climate like we do in Michigan or Illinois, they can grow tulips. So they might have tulips as their first crop for a small, like slow flower farm that would be doing them locally, or then they also ship them in.
Okay.
So there's different opportunities for everybody as well. But yeah, we miss Sun Valley, and I'm glad that I still get to work with Lane. He's a wonderful guy. He's amazing.
I love that he talked about the dirt, like Humboldt gold, they called it. Like it was
which I did not get because I didn't know what that meant, but now I do.
I saw at the end. Yeah.
That's in the outtakes. Humboldt gold is a type of marijuana that I guess is very good. Who knew?
Yeah.
But so he called the soil Humboldt gold. And it's funny because we always talk, the guys who film my show love it when they touch the soil or put the soil in their hands. And so Lane picked it up and was showing me the soil and then threw it down on the ground, Yeah. But my guys love to see soil. Can you show us the dirt? They always say that. And I'm like, oh yeah, show them the dirt. They want to see the dirt. But like in the lily, where lilies are grown, my friend Benno picked up the dirt, and that dirt is highly sandy. And so you're holding this handful of dirt, and then you brush your hands together, and it's completely gone.
Oh, well.
It doesn't stick to you like regular soil would, because all the sand makes it just fall away. different soils are better for different flowers. And that highly composted soil in Humboldt County in Arcata was perfect for the tulips.
I thought it was so cool that he has this, system where you're cooling everything and moving it from different temperatures, but still at the end of the day, you need that soil. It's like you still need this
Absolutely.
natural
Yep.
element, and it's
Yep.
like, it really thrives there because of that soil as well. I thought that was so cool.
Some people are growing tulips hydroponically and it doesn't work as well. And Lane would always, I think in the thing he talks about that his favorite flower is the soil grown tulip because some of them are not being grown in soil. And he feels like that results in a much better flower. And it's true. The head is bigger, the stem is stronger, the leaves are fuller. It's true. It just is one of those things. And he's an expert. He's an expert. I was so excited, even though he doesn't do his business, he doesn't have his business there. A woman saw the show the other day and called him and was able to trace him down and wants to interview him for a book she is doing about tulips. And she said, "It sounds like you're the world's foremost tulip expert." And he
Oh.
is.
Oh, how
He
cool.
really, truly is.
Oh,
And so they found him through that. And so I thought that was still exciting that,
yeah.
even though that business is not there, it's a great way for people to learn about being a tulip expert from Lane.
Cool.
But yeah.
Oh, and you talked a little bit about your guys liking to film the dirt. And I just wanted to call out one thing from that segment too. I love is it Chris and Keith? Like I feel like the cinematography is
Yeah.
really cool in that episode. I love they have this like shot where Lane is like standing back behind a couple rows that are growing, and then you see like all these rows behind him, and there's different groups of people that are all working, and you really just get a sense of how vast this whole system is. It's like it's a really cool setup and has a lot of depth in the shot. So I just thought that was a really cool scene.
It's amazing because that greenhouse, I think, housed 1 million some stems of tulips, and there are 27 or 30 of those. And then
Wow.
there were greenhouses of many tens of greenhouses, that were lilies and, different things that grow specifically in that area. And it's so interesting. They always search for that spot. They search for that spot where we can interview people and see kind of what they do behind them. I don't know. I think it is. Is there also in the outtakes where so Keith was running the camera and one of the things that moves the tulip things ran into him.
Oh yeah.
And Lane says, "Oh, there goes that close up,"
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because you're in the middle of where the thick of stuff is happening all the time, and those people, and we try and get in the middle of it
Oh, yeah.
because so many times people will say to us, "Well, we're going to be really busy when you come." Perfect.
Yeah.
We don't want it to look like you're standing around looking at each other. We want to see things in operation. It's just really good to be able to see that. So thank you for noticing. And
Yeah.
Keith and Chris, I'm sure, are thankful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all them.
That's cool.
They know how to interview somebody and make it look great. So it is wonderful.
Well, so you're out in Sun Valley Group, and then in the episode also go to Holland, Michigan. So you're back in Michigan for Tulip time.
Correct.
Yeah, and I thought that was so cool.
Tulip time it all depends on who you talk to. So there's a big competitive nature between the Tulip Time Festival and the Pella, Iowa Festival.
Okay.
They both keep trying to outplant each other. And so it's kind of like every other year the other one gets to claim that they're the biggest because they've planted more tulips than the other place did the year before. You made a very interesting observation too about that it's dependent on the weather. I mean, Tulip Time is always planned for the first 2 weekends of May.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes Mother Nature doesn't cooperate. Not often.
I was going to say that's got to be an interesting thing to have to plan around, and everybody's waiting for it, but it's got to add to the excitement, I would imagine, too.
So one year it was extremely warm and the tulips all came in April.
Whoa.
And I got a t-shirt that is one of my favorite t-shirts in the whole world. It's just tulip stems. It says Tulip Time Stem Fest and that year. When the tulips don't cooperate, they call it Stem Fest. And so the stems are there. Not only is it going to see Windmill Garden, where we interviewed Odd Van Ecker, it's also parades and clogging competitions and food and pancakes, and there's seminars at all these local venues, and there's a keynote speaker, and it's a big deal. It's a whole community thing for the city of Holland, Michigan, and it's a really big deal. And so I think that, it is really cool. And Odd was such a great interview
Oh,
because
he seemed great.
He's so Dutch. I don't know whether it's purposeful. I always ask Lane this because it's funny, but if they come from Amsterdam, they generally have a very thick accent, and it doesn't ever go away.
Oh.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like knowing that. And Odd has that thick accent. He oversees that, but also such a humble. I mean, both Lane and Odd are extremely humble people. Like when you would say to Lane, you have the largest flower farm in the United States. He's like, let's not talk about that. I don't, I'm just growing tulips and I like to grow flowers for people. That's what I like to do. And Odd is the same way, I'm in charge of Windmill Island, but I have so many people that are helping me do it. And it's a full scale. If you're a senior, or there are tours from all over the country, that buses and buses and buses of people that come in, hundreds of thousands of people come to Tulip Time.
Cool. I think Odd said that there were like people from over 30 countries or something that were there that year.
Yeah,
it's
they log it every year.
It's incredible.
It's crazy. Right. I mean, and it's just so fun. And he dresses up in his traditional garb. It is interesting because, there's a whole lot of history behind the tulip bulb and tulipomania, what that meant for people. Like during World War I or World War II, I can't recall, people ate tulips to prevent themselves from starving. So I mean, it's like a root vegetable.
Okay,
you can eat it like that,
Mhm.
I mean, and I've had it. It's okay. We did a show with Oregon Flowers in Oregon a couple years ago, and they brought in because you can make vodka out of potatoes. They brought in a vodka that was made out of tulip bulbs.
Oh, interesting.
And so we all tested it, and it was very cute because we were all like, Martin's wife was like, I don't taste any tulips. But, I mean, it's interesting. And you can buy it in the duty-free store. I think that there's a lot of stuff, but, the whole tulipomania thing was back in, was it the 16th century? People became fascinated with a tulip, and they got the Semper Augustus tulip. And it was a tulip that was kind of like a Rembrandt variety, one of those that's variegated, has two different colors on it. That is caused by a virus that the tulip gets that breaks the color method for it color throughout the petal.
Okay.
So it breaks that color mold. Only tulips that come from those tulip bulbs with that virus will continue that look.
Oh, so it will continue. So it's not just like it happens to one and then.
But only the ones that are bred from that.
I got you.
Interestingly enough, over time, if a tulip does not have good nutrients and has not been fed, and like putting bone meal or blood meal on your tulips when you plant them, or adding it every year is a really good thing to do to keep them the traditional color and keep the strength in them and have them be good looking. After a certain period of time, they will all convert to yellow. That's the original color of a tulip, was yellow, I guess. Isn't interesting to me? I don't know. Then tulipomania, people went wild. It was like the first speculative market ever.
Wow.
People were trading fantastic amounts of stuff to get 1 or 10 bulbs. And it was like 12 acres for a bulb, or fat oxen, or big pigs, or butter. All these things people were trading to get just one of those bulbs.
That is crazy.
Tulipomania is just kind of a thing. And that's why when you go to Amsterdam, you realize that is their number one export is flowers, and tulips are leading that whole pack. Tulips are very important to them. For you to be able to graduate from middle school, you have to plant tulips in a container and have them come up. If you can't figure out how to do that, you don't get to graduate.
That's amazing. We need to implement that here.
Right. So, I mean, it's a very important part of the structure of their culture. Whenever you go to someone's house, you bring a bouquet of flowers. That's part of, they're the ones who started that. And like when we would go over there for a convention that we would go to a friend's house that was a friend who also toured here in the United States. And we'd go to Elsa's house, and she'd have 15 or 16 bouquets around. And she said, I've had so many visitors this week, and everyone brings flowers. And we always we bring flowers too. And a friend of mine who was Dutch said, oh, you're an American. You bring wine and help us drink half the bottle. It's like, no, no, no. I bring flowers.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to somebody's house, I take flowers.
Yeah.
Martha Stewart will jump in. She's always like, oh, don't bring a hostess flowers. She has to put them in a vase. Well, you know what? If you know how to put them in a vase, you can say, show me where your vases are and I'll put this in a vase for you and I'll have it sitting here and you can enjoy it while you're cooking.
Yeah.
So don't try and put it back on the flowers. It's not the flowers' fault.
Or bring them in a vase too. I feel like Amanda and I have gone to like Goodwill and just found a vase for like $1 and then bought a flower arrangement and give it to somebody and then they get a vase. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tulips. Okay, so while we're on that subject, tulips are the easiest thing to bring.
Oh, cool. I heard you talk about that. Yeah.
I call tulips the teenagers of the flower industry because tulips are going to do whatever they want whenever they want to. Okay, so that makes them like teenagers, right? So when you have tulips, you simply cut them and drop them into a vase. Don't spend time arranging them because they're phototropic. And that means they're going to grow towards the light source. And they will rearrange themselves. And you will come back in 6 hours and you'll be like, these tulips look so beautiful because they've all straightened up towards the light or they've all curved over towards the window. And it's like, oh, I was such a great flower designer. No, the tulips were. But it's really easy because I call it a plop and drop or chop and drop. Chop, drop it into a vase. Or chop and plop, some people would say too. So chop, plop it in a vase. But tulips are great for that because you don't have to worry. Now, again, it is really good to use the bulb food because they need food. Tulips are going to get longer. They're going to open and close with the light every day. And so they're interactive. I think that's the other cool thing about them. My favorite day with a tulip is when the petals start to drop onto the table. I love that because it's just a reminder that tulips flowers are fleeting. You enjoy them for a moment in time. They grow, they bloom, they open, and then they're gone. And so they're transient. And that's a really beautiful thing. Well, I would have brides who would say, I want tulips, but I don't want them to open. Well, your choice is for me to glue them shut. Do you want me to glue them shut? And they're like, well, I don't want them open. That's what they do. Then let's pick another flower. Because tulips are meant to open and close and open and close and get longer. Our friends at Kreisel make a special tulip bulb food. I mentioned that before, but it's called bulb food. And you can get it at Kreisel, KreiselFlowerFood.com, Chrysal flowerfood.com. And just look for bulb food. That's perfect for tulips. And it has a higher feeding load in it so that it will make those tulips be beautiful every time. When it comes to flowers lasting as long as possible, I always choose Kreisel Flower Food. Flowers benefit from food and keeping the water clean. In my experience, Kreisel Flower Food does the best job. It's formulated by scientists. My favorite product is Kreisel Professional 3. Kreisel Flower Food products are available at their website, KreiselFlowerFood.com. That's CHRYSAL flowerfood.com. And be sure to use our discount code, YouBloom10 for 10% off your purchase. Support the joy of flowers. The Life in Bloom Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to flower education and inspiring a love of flowers in everyone. The foundation helps fund the production of Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom on public television, making it possible for viewers across the country to enjoy the beauty and benefits of flowers. The foundation also provides free flower education to high schools, colleges, and floriculture programs through youbloom.com, helping students and future florists bloom in their own careers. Your donation in any amount makes a difference. Plus, all contributions are 100% tax deductible. If you'd like to help us continue sharing the power of flowers, visit the lifeinbloomfoundation.org to donate today. Thank you for your support. You had talked about whether they should be short or long.
Oh, yeah. You could do either, right? Or
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the shortcut is always your friend because it when you cut things shorter, it gathers the blossoms together.
Okay.
And tulips are going to get longer.
Yeah.
So they're going to grow and get longer. So if you cut them short, they're going to get a little bit longer. I think sometimes binding the stems together too is helpful because then they won't flip out of a short base if you put them in a short vase, but I love that they open and close.
Yeah.
And there's so many I mean, the the painted tulips or the parrot tulips, the ones that have the virus that make them look different, I think are even more attractive than just a regular one. But I mean, there's so many shapes. There's a tulip shape, there's a rose shape, there's star-shaped ones, there's ruffled ones, there's ones that have like little hairs
Uh,
that they call fringe tulips. And there's little hairs on the end of the petals that are usually a different color. The fringe tulips are one of my favorites. Crazy about fringe tulips.
and then the
So,
the
yeah.
featured flower was the parrot tulip on this episode, and you talked all about
Correct.
that, and that was a pretty cool looking flower.
The petals look like the feathers of a parrot.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They're kind of striated like that, and then they're blanched with color. It looks like something that you might see on a parrot. And I think that that's why they get that name. Some people call them double tulips. There's so many names now, and it's really interesting because I was thinking about when we filmed this show, there still wasn't a name for the hairy tulips.
Oh, okay.
There still wasn't a name for the ones that look like a star. So those things have happened because we've had so many more people who have done hybridization on those. Our friends at Oregon Flowers, one of their claims to fame is they only grow specialty tulips. So they don't grow a red tulip or an orange tulip or a one. They grow a fringe tulip, or they grow a star tulip, or they grow a parrot tulip. And there's just so many to choose from. I mean, and if you look at a bulb catalog or a seed catalog, you're going to see those tulips. And now is the time to plant them.
Okay.
We should be planting them in October and November because they need to winter over. They need to get cold. They need to freeze. They need to have the freeze thaw. They need to have that. Bury them 4 to 6 inches deep. Make sure the point is sticking up. Add some blood meal or bone meal when you're planting them down in the ground. Have them put that in the thing first and then set the tulips into that. It's also better to plant your tulips in a collection. So like dig a big hole and put 10 in there instead of planting one and then one at 12 feet later and another one 12 feet later. They like to grow in a collection. They'll manifest one another and they'll share transpiration, they'll share humidity, they'll do better there. But do remember that chippies and rabbits want to eat them.
Oh, right.
And deer will chew them right off. So I use a product called Repelsol, and I have a whole lot of luck with that. It is an organic product, and it is made with black pepper.
Oh, so
And
it's natural
granular.
or
Yeah.
okay.
And so you can just sprinkle it on and it won't hurt your pets. And it won't hurt things like turtles or things like that, but it will just repel things because it smells like black pepper. Once you've planted all of them, sprinkle that on top and maybe give it another shot in the spring, or, throw some on top of the snow where you planted them so that as the snow melts, it'll be on top of that too. That will help that.
Okay.
Ladybird is my rabbit killer, and I love that about her. But I mean, we have an entire fenced-in yard, and so they will on occasion get in here, and she gets them every time. And it's funny because my pet sitters called and they were like, Ladybird has got a rabbit and I'm holding her here. How should I punish her? And I was like, don't punish her, give her a treat.
Yeah.
She got that rabbit. Good dog, because they will chew everything. They'll chew my hostas. They chew all my bulbs off. And I have a lot of bulb flowers in the garden, and they'll chew off rose bushes.
Yeah, you gotta
They just need
keep
to
them
stay out of
out.
my garden. They need to stay out of my garden.
Everybody
It's
needs
off
needs a
limits.
ladybird.
Right. Right. And we have lots of bunnies in the neighborhood, so I'm not I'm not intermittently going out and getting them.
Yeah.
But don't come here.
Yeah.
Do not come here. Unsafe for you in this yard. Chipmunks too.
Oh,
Chipmunks
yeah.
are the worst as well.
Jay, you had mentioned, and this might be a tangent, but mentioned turtles too. And I loved when when I was at your house and we shot that episode, you mentioned that there's turtles that come lay eggs in your garden. And I thought that was so cool.
We figured this out. Like September 29th must be the day. We had a 10-year reminder that there was on Facebook that we had taken a picture of a little baby snapper in the yard. That same day we found 2.
Oh.
That must be the day that they hatch and then head back down to the swamp. And so we just make sure we get them pointed in the right direction and send them down towards the wetlands. A swamp is not fair, but wetlands. But yeah, we have a wetlands down at the bottom. So yeah,
it's incredible when you look at it and you see the journey that they make too, because it's not that close. It's a trek for them. When you were telling me where they come from and where they come up,
snapping turtles the size of a trash can lid.
Yeah.
That's how big the snappers are. That snapper that comes up, and she smells horrible. And she's got all kinds of like duckweed on her, so she's got that on her when she comes up. But then we have painted turtles that are about
I love painted turtles.
10 inches. And we have little painted turtle babies too.
Oh.
And so, yeah, we do. And we also have the blue spotted salamanders.
Oh, cool.
And so what we do is in the fall, we don't pick up any leaves in the garden.
Okay.
So as we're moving stuff around, we just let them set. And so like even with the hostas, we'll let that set on there till spring, because we have to make sure that the spotted salamanders will hibernate under the leaves and their eggs are under there too. So the blue spotted salamander is protected here in Michigan. And so we're protected lands for it. So we just don't move any of those. And it was really, so last year we just leave the leaves on everything. And we're the only people that do that. Because I know that we have a lawn service too, because I want to make sure the lawn's cut when we're not here. But then they come in to do this cleanup. And I was like, please take me off the cleanup. I don't want cleanup. I just want the leaves to stay. Because also your pollinators also go in there too.
Right.
And pollinators are down inside there. So eggs have been laid and things are in there. And so I came in, they were blowing everything. And I was like, ran to the house. And I'm like, what in the world are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we're cleaning up. And I was like, no, I asked you not to. And I was like, just please stop. And then like, well, we'll blow it back. And I said, the damage is already done.
Right.
And I will tell you what's interesting. That happened last year. I did not have nearly as many swallowtails in my yard, and bees were okay, but everybody told me that was because it got blown blown off. So I think leaving that structure there. Now you will have mushrooms. I will tell you that causes mushroom growth, and you have to be careful because we will get deadly mushrooms. So we pick all our mushrooms. So we are always looking under stuff and picking them and dumping them and throwing them over the fence.
Okay.
So that the dogs won't get into them. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we went off on the tangent. I was like, when you said turtles, I was like,
right. It's true. Turtles and salamanders.
Yeah.
The blue spotted salamanders are so beautiful.
I've never seen one.
So pretty.
Oh, cool.
So they're black pretty much. They're probably about, what is that? Probably about 4 or 5 inches long. And then they have bright blue spots on them.
Cool.
Yeah, they're so, and you rarely see them. It's, and typically they say if you see them on a trail or something like that, it was because something grabbed them and you disturbed them and they dropped it.
Or like a bird dropped it out
dropped it.
Oh, okay.
And so then you get them back into leaves so they can get under the leaves.
Okay.
That's where they want to be. So yeah. So I see something on here.
Ooh, tell me.
The Dutch punch.
Yes, I was wanting to circle back to that.
Okay. So I have to tell you this.
Yeah.
So we found, this was just when we had started and we were like trying to find a flower cocktail for everything. And we were like looking for something that would be tulip based or Dutch based. And I found this, and I found it, and it's made with Genevieve, which is an alcohol like gin or vodka.
Okay.
And then it also has Luxardo in it.
Ooh.
It's all booze.
Yeah.
It's all booze, right? Okay. And when we mixed it up in the punch bowl, you could physically see the vapor above it, like it was gasoline. It was so strong. And it said, you just dip your mug in there and have another swig. It is the strongest thing I have ever fixed on Jay Schwanke's Life.
Oh my gosh. So how much did you have? Were you able to finish a glass?
I just, no. But the crew was just like, this is like gasoline. It is, and what's funny is when you talk to real Dutch people and you say, do you make Dutch punch? And they were like, what do you know about Dutch punch?
Oh, like it's a secret?
And I'm like, I made it. And they were like, what did you think? And, and you're like, it's strong. And they're like, oh, yeah. And the guys are always like, oh, yeah, I won't go to a party unless there's Dutch punch there.
That's hysterical.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the Genevieve, and I think the Bulls company makes a Bulls Genevieve. They said that I've had true Dutch people tell me that the Genevieve that you can have in Europe, because you can also get absinthe over there.
Oh, right. That was another thing I was wondering about, because absinthe, for a while, you couldn't get it in the States.
You can't get it. And we used an absinthe variant, which is something that has a licorice-like taste to it.
Okay.
But over in Amsterdam, you can get absinthe.
Oh,
you can,
okay.
in the same stores where you can get the mushrooms and you can get the pot, you can get the absinthe too.
Because it has hallucinogenic effect. Yeah.
Correct. And so can you imagine this stuff made with a hallucinogenic in it as well?
No.
I mean, it was wild.
Oh.
It was, and we, to this day, Kel and I still laugh whenever this show comes on, because I'm just like, look, you can see the vapor. So if you look close in the show, you can see how it's blurry. Like the highway, when the highway in the summertime,
like a mirage,
you can see like the mirage above that bowl. It was amazing. So strong. Yeah. So yeah, traditional Dutch punch.
Well, I love the idea of having a little
party.
Oh yeah, I love that you can have a little bowl and just like do a little scoop too. That's such a fun.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of a gin bucket? This was a thing.
No, but it sounds very similar.
Yeah, so I'd totally forgotten about this until I saw your Dutch punch, and I remembered there's a thing, and I think it's big on the East Coast. Some friends in college said that they learned about this in Virginia or Maryland, and you get a bucket and you pour gin, and it's kind of a trashy, like I think you put like Sprite or something in there, but you cut up a bunch of citrus too. So you put lemons and limes and orange slices in it and mix it all around. And then you drink it with turkey basters. So there's a bunch of turkey basters in the gin bucket, and people take them and squirt them either in your mouth or into a cup. I love it. Yeah. But it's a gin-based drink too, which kind of reminded me of this a little bit because of the Genevieve. But I was like, I had totally forgotten about that until now, and I was like, oh, the gin bucket.
I do have to tell you, so I am not. I was not the first liquor I got sick on in high school was gin.
Oh,
so it kind of wrecked it for me. Okay. But then I found Roku gin, which is made by Suntory.
Okay.
And it is the smoothest, nicest gin I have ever drank in my entire life, and that is what's in my bar.
Oh,
but Suntory Roku gin.
I have to look this up.
The deal.
Okay.
Now, Nick, my nephew, he really likes Plymouth gin because Plymouth gin is also a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
And it's so funny when I went to England the first time, because we make pink gins in a later show. A pink gin is just gin and some bitters.
Okay.
In a glass as a shot, and you shoot it, right? And so I had heard about pink gin, and I had this list of things when I went to London the first time of things I wanted to do. My friend Linda was so helpful, and she was trying to make sure I could do everything. And so I went into a bar in like the inner city of London, and I wanted to find two Cockney women that I could have a pink gin with. And I walked into this bar because there were these two older ladies, and they were sitting right by, like out in the little patio. And I went into the guy and I said, "Are those two ladies Cockney?" And he said, "Yeah, but don't say that. That's not really kind of politically correct." And I was like, "Okay, got it." And I said, "I want 3 pink gins." And he was like, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to go over and ask them if they'll share them with me." And he goes, "Of course they're going to share them with you." But he said, and I said, "It's just my dream to have pink gins with these ladies." And I went over and I was just like, "Hello, ladies." I said, "I have a dream that I could have 2 pink gins that I have pink gins with 2 nice ladies at a bar in London." And they were like, "Wow, sit down, sit down." And we had the best time. They're the best time.
Cool.
And so, but pink gins are typically made with Plymouth gin as well, because it's a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
So yeah, but a gin bucket.
Yeah, the gin bucket.
Okay. I'm going to bring that up.
Maybe we could
Grace likes gin. Grace likes an aviation, so I'll see if she wants a gin bucket.
Maybe we could do a Dutch gin bucket. Everyone would be on the floor. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone will be done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Our other recipe was the herbed goat cheese that we put on because tulips are edible. So as I said, people would say that you could eat the tulip bulb, that they ate tulips, keep from starving to death. Mm-hmm. So you can also eat tulips. You just need to cover them. So now I don't know if if I grow the tulips, that one in the show, I grew that in my garden, so I know there's no pesticides on it. But I don't know if there's pesticides on ones that you would buy. I would wash them for sure, but I would try and govern them. Or if you were buying them from a slow flower farm, a little local flower farm, they might grow them organically as well.
Okay.
Like our one place, Idlewild, grows everything organically, so that's nice.
Do they have a taste to them?
They really don't taste like anything.
No,
they taste. You could have used a piece of lettuce and it would have tasted the same.
Okay, they kind of let the
But
goat
it's
cheese
pretty.
shine.
It's
pretty really pretty
on the plate, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now let's be honest, because goat cheese is very much like blue cheese. If you were to serve an hors d'oeuvre that had blue cheese in it or goat cheese in it, you're going to taste the goat cheese or the blue cheese.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter what it's on. It's just a vehicle. It's like escargot. I always say I buy escargot because I like escargot. I don't really like escargot. I like butter and garlic, and the snail is just a vehicle to get the butter and garlic into my mouth.
Right.
So the goat cheese is similar. It's it's a really pretty look.
Yeah.
But again, and so many flowers are edible and so many flowers are not. You need to be cautious about what you're using. But like roses, as long as they have been raised organically, are edible. Marigolds are edible. Dahlias are edible. Dahliacorms are also edible. Another thing that people would eat for some reason. Who knows? Hydrangeas are not. But it's interesting. I was talking to the horticulturist at Meyer Gardens because in an upcoming episode, I used a hydrangea as a garnish on a drink, and I get letters about it. It's just been on a couple times, and people write into me and say, hydrangeas contain cyanide. The roots contain cyanide, and you have to boil down the roots and create a tincture that would have the cyanide in it. And it would take probably 60 to 100 pounds of roots to do so. So there would be traces in a bloom, and we just used it as a decoration. We didn't use it as something that we advocated eating.
Right.
If you ever, and I have, tasted a hydrangea bloom, it's bitter. It's like, so poinsettias, actually, everybody thinks poinsettias are poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Poinsettias are not poisonous.
Oh.
The Society of American Florists did a thing called the Clean Bill of Health for a poinsettia, and it was performed at Ohio State University, and they are not poisonous. They will not hurt or kill a human. I have eaten them on television. I ate them on P. Allen Smith's show one time. But here's the thing. Nobody's going to eat more than one piece because it tastes so bad. It is bitter and sour and nasty.
It's like a natural repellent. It's like, don't eat me.
So you're not going to do it. You're not going to eat it. Poinsettias are not dangerous. And every year, they come out and say, poinsettias are dangerous. Please keep your children away from poinsettias. No, we're doing a new Christmas special for season 9, and we're going to be talking about poinsettias. And that's one of the things we're going to cover.
Oh.
And probably more than likely, the host of the show is going to eat another poinsettia. Probably.
Teaser.
I think that's probably going to happen. Yeah. But my mom used to do it on television too. So my mom and I were both known about eating poinsettias on TV.
Oh.
So yeah. And it's funny. With the Alan one, it's one of his Christmas specials. He's like, did you just eat that poinsettia? And I said, yeah. See, I'm still all right. And he's like, well, I heard they were poisonous. And I was just like, no, they're not poisonous. There's a clean bill of health for poinsettias. And you can Google clean bill of health for poinsettias online and it'll come up.
Okay.
It was performed by Ohio State University. George Stabby did it. Yeah, it's great. So
and you're walking evidence, Jay.
I am, correct. Yeah. Maybe it causes things to happen. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Right? Maybe I am the result of eating poinsettias. I don't know. Or that my mother did. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's not going to kill you. The whole urban legend comes from that there was a young boy in Mexico who died, and they found poinsettia leaves in his stomach. But they also found remember the click? You're not old enough. There was a click tab that you would pull off of sodas that had they found those in his stomach too.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah.
So, there were lots of things they found in this kid's stomach. And so then that was where the urban legend began, was that they were, and it's funny because didn't the little drummer boy pick poinsettias or pick some weeds because he didn't have a gift to give to the Christ child, and then an angel turned the petals colored, and then he took them to the baby Jesus. That's a legend, that's a story about that stuff, right? So that legend wouldn't be if they were poisonous, because certainly you're not going to bring a poison plant to Jesus.
Right.
So, there's that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's my other
more
proof
evidence.
that more evidence that they're not poisonous. So, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I digress here. I digress as we talk about tulips. So, yeah, I think enjoy them. I think enjoy having them around. They are like you can't be unhappy when you see a sunflower. I think it's the same thing with a tulip. Tulips just make you feel good. And it's like, oh, it's a tulip, and they're a fragile flower, and they don't last very long. All that's good, because then you want more tulips. I think it's just check out a tulip festival. If there's a tulip festival, if you're in Pella, Iowa, or you want to come up to Holland, Michigan, come up and see the tulip festival. I mean, it's amazing. They plant millions of tulips every year, and they are everywhere, and they replant them every year.
That's so cool.
And there's a cool thing at the end of the year. You can go harvest. They'll let you go dig up old tulip bulbs and keep them and take them home and put them in your yard. So your yard will have tulips, and then they put new ones in. So they're just trying to make the whole city tulipomania for the entire city of Holland.
That's amazing. I want to check it out now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Thanks for joining us this week on Behind the Bloom podcast with Jay Schwanke and RJ Poole. If you loved what you heard, be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And share it with a friend to help us spread the joy, one bloom at a time. Thank you for taking the time to slow down with us. And hopefully you left feeling a little lighter and inspired to try something new. Make sure to join us next week for a brand new episode. Thanks for being here with us, Behind the Bloom. Hey, just one more thing. If you love flowers, you've got to check out ubloom.com. It's the online home of Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom, where you can stream every episode for free. Plus, you'll find behind the bloom videos, my blog, show recipes, and so much more. There's also a massive video archive, over 1,800 how-to videos, flower farm documentaries, and even my very first series, JTV. All Life in Bloom episodes, exclusive web content, and farm documentaries are totally free. Just sign up with your email. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there's a paid subscription option that unlocks the full library of how-to videos. Everything from creating bridal bouquets to centerpieces, corsages, and more. Tons of content to explore. You're going to love it.